And I'm pleased to say that our next speaker brings a feminine touch and over 23 years of experience with anti-aging biomedical technology, and she's board certified in anti-aging medicine. Having maintained her own practice for the last 18 years in Virginia, USA, and recently helped to establish the HB Health Clinic in Harley Street, London, she is very cognizant with the steps required to turn a general medical practice into an anti-aging medical specialty. That is the subject of her lecture this morning, and I am confident it will be of great interest to those of you in the audience who want to establish or expand into an anti-aging center. Would you please welcome Dr. Jennifer Krup.
Thank you. I would first of all like to thank the sponsors for inviting me to this conference. I came last year as an attendee and I really enjoyed it, and I'm really pleased and honored to be here as a speaker. I think I'd like to have a show of hands, if I may, to ask how many people in the audience are practicing anti-aging medicine. Okay, good. So y'all can help me out on this then. If I could have the, oh, here we go. I can do this. Great. One of the first questions that we ask is, what is anti-aging medicine? And I'd like at this time to point out that my lecture is going to focus on internal anti-aging medicine as opposed to what we call external anti-aging, which includes plastic surgery, Botox, dermabrasion, that sort of thing. So I'm going to be focusing on the medicine part, the internal medicine part of anti-aging medicine. And I think when I've asked this question, I've finally come up with the answer that it's basically improving people's quality of life. And we do this by approaching several different areas with our patients. Medicine as it exists now, or in the United States, is a retroactive sort of thing. We look at diseases and we treat diseases. This whole entire field of anti-aging is something more proactive, where we're trying to keep people healthy and young for as long as possible. And we're doing this from the inside out. We want to keep their bones healthy, their muscles healthy, their organs healthy, their skin healthy. The fact that they happen to look younger and feel better is just a bonus. So, what do we do with this? There are basically 5 pillars, as we call them, in anti-aging medicine. And most of these should be no surprise to anyone. They're basically the things that your grandmother told you. The first is diet. You have to have a healthy diet. Second is exercise or physical activity. Got them on the slide. The third is nutrition or nutritional supplementation. Fourth is hormone replacement therapy. And the fifth is stress reduction. And I'll go into detail on all these different pillars. When we talk about the diet that people need to maintain their youthfulness and their health, there are really several different popular diets right now available. And they all have their good points and their bad points. And when you are discussing with patients what type of diet they should be following, you also have to look at who they are and look at their history and their blood work. I'm just going to touch briefly on several that are very popular right now. The first is the zone diet that Dr. Sears pioneered, where he recommends that each meal have a balance of protein and carbohydrate and fat. The second is we call the Paleolithic or caveman diet, where you recommend that people should eat the type of food that our ancestors ate, because that is what we have been genetically programmed to handle. And I always get a kick out of it when my patients will say, "Oh, you mean a lot of meat?" And I say, well, actually, cavemen didn't eat a lot of meat all the time, because it's very difficult to kill game every day if you're using handmade bows and arrows and spears. So they basically ate small amounts of high fiber roots and berries, and that's what the Paleolithic or caveman diet's all about. And we just bring that over into people eating high complex carbohydrates, fruits, vegetables, things like that, small amounts of lean meat. Actually, the premier diet for anti-aging is a low glycemic diet. It's a diet that keeps your blood sugar levels in very low range, not low ranges, but low normal ranges, and avoids the high spikes of sugar, which then cause high spikes in insulin. What is not allowed on this diet is sugar or any type of processed white carbohydrate like white bread, white potatoes, white rice, white pasta, crackers. These things all cause the blood sugar to go up very rapidly because they're very high glycemic index foods. And this is a process of education that we share with our patients. The other diets I'm just including here for completeness sakes, because patients will come to you with questions about this. Dr. Atkins has proposed a diet many, many years ago, I think 25, 30 years ago, which is a very high protein diet. He also, unfortunately, his diet is very high in fat and pretty much shuns carbohydrates. It's a very popular diet for people to lose weight quickly, and it's also a very good diet for diabetics. But I think it's a wrong diet because the emphasis is, again, on a high amount of protein, high amount of fat, and not a very balanced diet. Most people don't like it. They don't stay on it very long. And the diet has to be incorporated into a whole lifestyle plan for patients. It isn't just eat this diet to get an effect and then go back to your old bad eating. The other diet that I mentioned on here is Dr. Ornish's diet, which has shown some reversal in heart disease. He preaches a no meat and very low fat, no added fat diet. And if it's followed the way he recommends it, along with stress reduction techniques, it's very, very good for people with cardiac problems. The big problem that we have, which is the challenge in when you recommend a diet to patients, is they're not going to follow it. You know, they follow it for a while, they cheat, it doesn't work. And so in our clinics, we just tell patients, we explain to them that learning how to eat properly and healthily has to become a lifestyle change for them for the rest of their lives. And you'll find that they will slip back into their old bad habits, and that's when you recheck them and redo their blood work and point out to them that maybe they haven't been as good as they thought that they were on some of their diets. The next area that we talk about is exercise, and I find that in Europe it's much easier to have your patients be fit because there is so much more physical activity. People walk a lot more, and it's just incorporated into the lifestyle. In the United States, we've pretty much managed to do no exercise from the time we wake up in the morning till the time we go to sleep. And so we encourage our patients to perform 3 different types of exercises during their week, and they all strengthen certain organ systems in the body. You have to do some aerobic or cardiovascular toning for the heart and the blood vessels, and this is very useful as we get older. The stretching and toning as well is important before you do your cardiovascular aerobic workout. It also prevents injuries and has your ligaments not as stiff, which is something that occurs with aging. Our ligaments become stiffer. Resistance and weight training is something that men knew about, and women are finding out is very, very important. And I really encourage my patients to do it if they can, a couple of times a week. That's working with weights, building muscle. This helps keep the body, the skeleton strong, and it keeps the bones strong. Again, I usually tell if a patient will give you 100 excuses why they don't exercise, why they can't exercise, they don't have time, whatever. But we recommend that they just increase their physical activity. And when we're evaluating our patients, we have some questions on our health and lifestyle questionnaire which address how much exercise they're doing, and we try to find ways to work with them to increase their activity. Again, the challenge is getting patients to do it, getting them to find a program that they enjoy doing and then following through and doing it and maintaining it day after day, week after week, year after year. The third area is nutraceuticals, and this is a term that was coined which means nutritional supplements that, that actually have been shown to be helpful in anti-aging and in health. And they include things that I'm sure everyone's aware of: the vitamins, the antioxidants, herbal extracts, minerals, trace elements, and omega-3 fatty acids. I'm not going to go into great detail about any of these topics because other lecturers are going to be talking about them. But suffice it to say, we have pages and pages of documentation why certain vitamins are helpful and antioxidants are helpful, herbal extracts like ginkgo, pine bark, etc. And you will also find in the literature a lot of studies that say, no, well, actually they're not very helpful. People should be eating all these things in their diet. And I agree. If you have the opportunity to have in your diet every day everything that you need, that is a better way to get your vitamins and your nutrition. However, most of us don't have that luxury. We work busy schedules, we travel, and this is a good way to make sure that you're getting everything that you need. The omega-3 fatty acids are really kind of popular right now. They're from like fish oils, or actually they're from marine algae that the fish, the cold water fish process. And they've been found to be very helpful against cardiac diseases and stuff. What I really spend a great deal of my time doing as a physician in the office is replacing people's hormones to their levels that they were when they were younger. And the model that we have for this is actually menopause in women. And that got a lot of publicity recently, a few months ago, mostly negative, about some hormones that were being used in women and found to actually be more harmful than helpful. The studies, unfortunately, were not with natural estrogen or natural progesterone. They were with synthetic hormones. So you really can't say that all the hormones are bad. We check blood levels on our patients, and then we replace the levels. And we'll replace estrogen, progesterone, DHEA, testosterone, human growth hormone, thyroid, and melatonin. Again, other lecturers are going to be talking individually about each of these hormones. Of interest is, many times I get asked, you know, how did the specialty start or get started? And it started about 10, 15 years ago when a group of males out west in the United States were finding that despite the fact that they were eating properly and exercising and working out, you know, they just weren't able to be as strong or as fast as some of the younger guys in the gym. And so they looked at, you know, what's the difference between us and them? And they found primarily that it was the hormone levels start to decline. Again, the other physicians that are going to be lecturing will tell you a little bit more, much more in detail about when this occurs. But unfortunately, it generally occurs frighteningly early on in life, like in your 20s. You'll peak out at your hormone levels and they start to drift down. And with women, the estrogen and progesterone then precipitously falls at the menopause. Men will have andropause or viropause, as it's called in Europe and the UK, where their testosterone levels will also drop down. So these are all things that we look at and then replenish for our patients. The slides are actually out of order, but I'll go over this right now. What I do for medical treatments for our patients is we have the prescription medications, which include the hormones that we previously, on the previous slide, mentioned. Also, if a patient will come in and they have a very high cholesterol or a very high sugar, you're not really practicing anti-aging medicine unless you also address those health issues and get their cholesterol levels down into the healthy ranges, get their blood sugar into the healthy ranges. So it's not just anti-aging. You have to look at the whole patient and do a whole good internal medicine evaluation and workup. Nootropics are drug, I call them brain food. There's certain herbal products and vitamins and antioxidants that have been shown to help the brain function, memory more efficiently, and faster recall. One of the ways that you can test to see if these products are working, and I'll touch on it a little later, are some special tests to actually monitor a patient's biological age to see how good their memory is or how quick their reaction time is. Then you put them on some of these products and they can retest several months later and there is an improvement. So it isn't just, it's something you can work with your patients and show them. IV vitamins are kind of hot right now as well. When I was in the UK last, Jerry the Spice Girl was in the news a lot because she was using IV vitamins to give her energy when she did her tours, and it works very well for a lot of patients. Alternative medicine, homeopathy, acupuncture, this is all part of what we offer in terms of our treatment of the entire patient to help them feel better. Adaptogens are kind of interesting. They're products that help deal with stress, and stress is a big problem that we have. So these are some herbal products and some combinations of medicines that different countries and cultures have used that help with the stress levels. Chelation, which will be gone into in much greater detail later on, discussing the benefits as well. The challenge, again, it's putting it all together, seeing what you need to offer your patients, seeing what can work for them, and seeing what they will follow. I put down stress reduction as the 5th pillar because if you do everything else and you maintain a high level of stress, your adrenals are pouring out cortisol and adrenaline, and it's going to age you rapidly. It's also going to help you get heart attacks and strokes and things like that. So we do touch on that, and we try to encourage our patients to do something that decreases their stress. Meditation and mindfulness, again, there's lots of peer-reviewed medical articles about the positive impacts of these things. Yoga and Tai Chi is great for the body, great for balance. It makes patients feel better. Deep breathing, I did a lot of that about 15 minutes ago before I got up here to help try calm me down. It's very helpful, very useful. Visualization and prayer, they have studies that show these things help people. My favorite is actually exercise, because when you exercise, you help reduce stress, and you're also doing 2 of the 5 things that are very useful for living a healthy, long life. Again, the challenge is the life we live in today, the world we live in today is a very, very stressful world, and many people who reach a certain level of success are in a very high stress environment, and getting them to calm down and relax and enjoy life a little bit is the challenge. Now I get into some of the realities and some of the problems that I've come across. First of all is the time allotment for the education of this new field of anti-aging medicine. You have to take time out of your busy medical practices and schedules to learn about this. There is no definitive textbook out there on it. There are limited resources in terms of going somewhere and just learning about it. So you have to take time out of your busy medical practice, which most people don't have a lot of extra time, and sit down and learn this new field. The other problem is the learning curve, not just for the physician, but for the physician's staff. I had a general medical practice, which I had for 18 years in Virginia, and trying to incorporate learning the new field with my general practice was very difficult. It was difficult also to train my staff to approach medicine in a proactive rather than retroactive way. I had a big advantage because I would always question my general patients in terms of what type of diet they ate and what type of exercise they were doing. But still, these are different things that you bring into your practice, and there is a learning curve there. We have these established patterns of practice, and everybody feels comfortable doing that, and it's easier. So you have to change that as well. There's the cost of learning this new field. You all are here at expense, flying here, staying here, spending the money for the conferences. It's not just the cost of this conference, but it's the cost of the money that you're losing not being in your practices. So this is on the weekend, it's not too bad. But still, if you miss a few days of work, there's that. Insurance and liabilities. Most anti-aging medicine, in fact, pretty much all anti-aging medicine, is not covered by health insurance. It's, you can find certain portions of it that a health insurance will cover, but it's just very, very difficult to get any kind of insurance reimbursement for any of the blood work or the office visits or the medicines. So there is that added cost burden for the patient. Liabilities, people should check in with their insurance malpractice carriers to see if there are any problems. There weren't for me, but you need to check with your local medical societies and also your medical malpractice just to make sure. Then the fee structures, it's going to be a different fee structure perhaps than what you're used to. For one thing, when you charge something, you actually get 100% of what it is, which is kind of nice. However, since you spend a lot of time with patients in general and the charges are relatively high, you have to overcome that hurdle as well. These are some solutions I came up with, and my list is by no means complete, and I'm sure some of the physicians in the audience, I'll be very happy to get some feedback. First of all, determine your market. You know, who are you trying to sell this to? Who are the people that you see as your patients? Where do you live? Do you live in an urban area? Do you live in a suburban area? Do you live in a rural area? You know, who are the people going to be coming into your practice, and how are you going to incorporate that in with your practice? Secondly, I put down, create your image, and this is not just you, the physician, but you, the practice, and you, the field of anti-aging medicine. People don't know what it is, so when you tell people that you're an anti-aging physician, people will say, oh, that sounds interesting, or what is that? So you have to have some answers for them. And I found discussing the bit about menopause to be very, very helpful because people understand that, to explain what it is that I do. And again, in my practice, I don't do external anti-aging, but an awful lot of other physicians do, and that you can mention that as well. Then you have to adapt the practice that you have or establish a new practice. And that's what I did in Virginia. I adapted it to my existing practice, and then when I went to London, I was able to start with a new practice, which was also very fun and exciting. So you have to find which way is going to work for you in your community, for yourself, with all the other restraints that you will have in terms of time and money. I find it very useful to incorporate existing patients. They're there. Many of them have an interest. They want to know where you've been for a week when you're at a conference, and so you can talk to them about what you do. And it helps also while you're trying to create your image and determine your market when the feedback you get from your patients. You can recruit new patients as well. This tends to be a very high-end field of medicine. Most people that come in as patients have to have disposable income because many of the treatments are not covered by insurance, and so they're paying quite a bit of money for these services. So for many of us, you have to find the different patients for that. Then the sales and marketing, an area that physicians are notoriously horrible in, and so perhaps get some help in this area. I've been fortunate. I have my business partners, both in HB Health in London and in my clinic in Virginia, are very good in this area, and I pretty much do what they tell me to do. So that is something where you are selling yourself and you're selling the concept of anti-aging, and you're doing an awful lot of lecturing and explaining to people. I found also a very, very useful tool in my area as I lecture to interested patients. And interestingly enough, I have an awful lot of women patients, and I love talking about the female hormones, and that's very easy for me to do. So I will talk to groups of like 10, 15, 20 women and just answer some questions. And again, recently, the publicity with regards to the Premarin and the Prempro was a boon for us physicians, because we put an ad in the paper saying, you know, we'll discuss natural hormone replacement therapy to any of the women that had questions about the studies that came out, and we had an awful lot of interest in that. So that's one of the things you can do. This is our basic, my basic patient anti-aging program. We do an intensive baseline anti-aging evaluation. It has like about a 15-page health and lifestyle questionnaire, and we also have like a 2 or 3 page food diary that we ask people to keep on their best days, their healthy days, and then their unhealthy days. And it doesn't have to be one day. We're just trying to get a feel for, what are people eating on a healthy day, and then what are they eating on an unhealthy day. And that helps us, or the dietitian helps work with the patient based on what modification they need. And I'm always amazed at the answers I get there. Because if you follow the anti-aging diet, for example, which is a low glycemic diet, and a patient will come in and tell you, oh yes, I had cereal for breakfast with orange juice and a banana, and they want to be patted on the back for their healthy breakfast. That's actually not a very healthy breakfast. It has very high glycemic index food, and I tell them you could have had 2 Snickers bars. The body, Snickers bars are an American candy. It's like a candy bar. The body processes the food you ate in the same way it would a candy bar. So you do a lot of education in that area. We measure the biomarkers of brain aging, which include the H-scan, which we have, I think, and inner age. And these are, again, just tests that give you a result that's very useful to show a patient. And then after you put them on a program, you can go back and show them how they've improved. It's also very helpful when someone will come in and say, well, I'm not that bad. Well, okay, we'll check this out and see how you're doing. And it helps to reinforce some of what we're trying to do and help them to feel better and get better. Diet and exercise counseling. If a patient comes in and they don't have a lot of problem in this area, I'll do a lot of it. We'll do it in the office. If they require extra help, we have a dietitian and we have trainers, physical therapists that will work with them for the exercise and diet. And this just reinforces what we do. However, I would recommend that you know the dietitian and know your trainers well so that you're all preaching the same plan for the patient. We review laboratory test results at this time, and I'll go into the tests that we order in a little more detail in a few minutes. Then we develop a program for our patients, which includes dietary counseling, exercise counseling, discussion of the laboratory test results, and perhaps they need some prescription medication there, hormones if they're needed. And then depending on some of the results, for example, if someone comes in with a very high cholesterol and I'm not very happy with it, I'll order an EBT scan or a calcium score, which I will hope will be bad so that they will be more, trying to get that cholesterol level down. The EBT scan is a 3-dimensional CAT scan or 3D CT scans, and you can scan the chest and the pelvis, and they're just wonderful new technology that you can show to your patients. I like it for the lung scan, the chest scan. A lot of people have smoked, and they're very happy when they see that their lungs are okay for now. And it will also give you any areas of calcification, which will show that there are plaque in the coronary arteries. So that's a real useful thing for our patients. And I order a lot of those. Actually, insurance will reimburse a lot of that for us in America. The laboratory blood work, I had somebody ask me earlier about his cholesterol was up and his LDL was up, and I said, well, that's great, but you also should look at a lot of these other cardiac risk panels, the high sensitivity C-reactive protein, A-lipoprotein A, B, homocysteine, fibrinogen, Lp(a). And we also have some new testing which will actually measure the size of the HDLs and the LDLs, and you can tell if a patient has the better pattern for cholesterol or the worse pattern. I mean, I remember life before we even had cholesterol as a risk factor. I mean, 330 was the upper limit of normal in the US, and then they brought it down to 270, 220, and now it's 200. Then they found it wasn't just cholesterol, it was did you have the good cholesterol or the bad cholesterol? It isn't that simple. You now have 4 different types of, the bad and the medium bad and the 3 different types of good, and generally the larger and fluffier the particle, the better. The smaller and denser the LDLs, the worse. So this is another useful tool if someone comes in with a value you don't know, even if the cholesterol isn't that high, If it's the bad pattern, they have to be treated a lot more seriously than someone who may have a higher value of cholesterol but has all bad stuff. So these are just more useful in-depth studies that we do because we're offering healthy, proactive medical care for our patients. We have a big problem in the United States with obesity. It's directly related to the food we eat and the lack of exercise. A lot of our fast food, which is a lot of sugar and processed carbohydrate and fat, is creating an epidemic of diabetes. First thing that goes up is your fasting insulin, and we'll measure that in our patients. You'll also see it elevated in polycystic ovarian syndrome and several other medical problems, obesity. And then the hemoglobin A1C is a good test to show what the person's sugar's been doing for the last 3 months. I really did a lot of this in my general medical practice first. We live in the second fattest city in the United States. New Orleans has the distinction of being the fattest. Norfolk, Virginia is the second fattest, so we got a lot of diabetics there. We do an extensive hormonal panel testing, and this includes for men and for women. Women will do estrogen, progesterone, free and total testosterone, thyroid hormones, TSH, free T3, free T4. And we'll do estriol levels, and with men we'll do the free and total testosterone, dihydrotestosterone, estrogen. A lot of men, as they get older, will have higher estradiol levels than women. There's going to be a lecture on this tomorrow. Then we'll also do vitamin deficiency testing if patients ask for it. I personally am not a big fan of this because it's a very transient thing, and if you replace it, the levels will go up, but then they can become deficient again. But if people want it, the testing is out there, you can get it done. Many times it helps encourage people to lead a healthier life with taking some of the supplements. And then allergy testing, which is, again, we're going to have another lecture discussing some of the problems with allergy testing. Some of the problems that patients have when they have allergies. And so you can test them both for environmental allergens and also for food allergens. Okay, so you've done all this. And then you wonder, how am I going to keep up since there are no good textbooks and really, you go to cutting edge lectures like we're having here today. And one of the things that I find very useful at these lectures is networking with other anti-aging professionals. I've gotten so much of my information for the last 3 to 5 years that I've been doing this from my colleagues, and we're all learning together, and it's just amazing. It's helpful to attend programs and lectures that have CME certification, and attending conferences, which is pretty much the same as the cutting edge lectures. I have board certification in anti-aging medicine. I think that's going to become more and more important as we develop it a little bit better. That's a very useful thing. Where can you get more information on anti-aging? Well, the academies. There's one in the United States. There's several in Europe. Longevity societies. In England, we have the British Longevity Society. They have meetings, and it's an opportunity to meet interested physicians and other professionals in the field. Medical journals. I get an awful lot of my anti-aging medicine from traditional medical journals because I only read the articles now that are of interest to me in the field. And a lot of estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, just anything, dietary articles. So you just look at the journals a different way, but the traditional journals have an awful lot of interesting stuff in them. There's a recent article saying ginkgo wasn't any good because they studied it for 6 weeks and said it didn't do anything. Well, I think it is good. You just need to do the study for longer than 6 weeks. The internet, believe it or not, is very, very useful because things are kept up there so rapidly. However, there's a lot of junk on the internet too. You'll get to know that after you check it out a while. Bottom line. How do we generate income in this new field? Well, when you realize that you spend a great deal of time on a patient that comes in, for most of us, you're going to generally charge a lot more. You're not performing surgery like a plastic surgeon, so you can't charge a large sum. And you have to find what the market in your area will hold. And we generate income from the patient fees when they come in. And I'll also get into that in the next slide a little bit more in detail. One of the things that you're going to find in anti-aging medicine is overcoming the obstacles. I think Dr. Pierpali referred to this briefly when he said there's this tremendous lag between what people in the field of anti-aging medicine believe in and are practicing and the general medical community. So that's one of the big obstacles that you're going to have to overcome. The other obstacle is getting your patients to pay, since many of them are used to having an insurance cover so many things. So these are two of those small obstacles. The staff requirements, how many people are going to be in your new office or in your new field. I found for myself personally that I couldn't do both my general practice and my anti-aging together. And so I've split my offices, and I'm 2 days a week in my general practice and 3 days a week in my new practice. Hopefully, as that builds, I will probably just keep 1 day a week in my general practice. But it has a different staff requirement, a different location, a different ambiance. And then you can find out what others have done in the field. And that's when I find very useful coming to the conferences and networking with other physicians. I met a physician last year here from Germany. I want to say he's from Bonn, I think. And he has a very interesting practice as an allergist originally and does an awful lot of IV therapy, and that was his practice because of where he came from and what he does. And so then I have physician friends in California where anti-aging is very much in the news and people know about it. They don't really have to do an awful lot of advertising as to what it is. They just need to advertise where they are because patients will find them. They know what it is and they know what they want. So you come to the conferences, you find somebody who you think is doing it the way you'd like to do it, and they have a similar demographic to where you are, and then you try it. This is another couple of areas where we generate income. When you prescribe medications for the patients, we use natural hormones that we get from a compounding pharmacy. There are about 10 of these pharmacies in the United States that have been doing this for years. And we find that these products work very, very well. And you can make some profit on that, not huge amounts, but that's one of the areas where you can make some profit. The nutraceuticals, the nutritional supplements, and the cosmeceuticals, I love these terms. Someone just came up with these. We didn't want to get into, in my practice, any external. However, we had the patients, generally the women in the practice, saying, "We love your skin. It looks beautiful. What do you use?" And I realized the answer is our products. I had no products, so I had to go and research and find some products, and we've done that. So again, you can make a little bit. It's not really what we focus on, but it's there for our patients, and they buy it and they're happy with it. We make some money on the laboratory testing that we send out for our patients. We've contracted with the laboratories to get a special price for the different panels that we do, the hormone panels, the full panels, and then we add a little onto that and pass it on. It's still less expensive than if the patient goes directly to the lab and orders each of the tests individually. And we point this out to them. We have what we call a program development fee that we add on, which is basically a fee that we charge on a monthly basis for managing our patients that are on our full programs. Most of the patients that are on the full programs will be using growth hormone or any of the injectables, testosterone, whatever. And we charge this. Again, it's not a lot, but we get an awful lot of phone calls. We spend a lot of time with the patients. That's one of the ways you can structure it. The other way is just have them come in and pay each time, for medical consultation for you. And then the referrals, and this is just if you develop some type of relationship with, say, the chest scanners, EBT scanners, and again, this is not with insurance. This is all paid for out of pocket. And many times you'll get some small amount of income there. I went to several lectures that one of the physicians that's very prominent in anti-aging medicine in the United States gave over the last few years. And one of the things that he did mention is there isn't a huge amount of money in the field of anti-aging medicine. if you run your center properly, you can make money. But this idea that there's millions to be made in an anti-aging practice is not correct. And there are more and more physicians getting into this, and more people are doing this, so that's going to also erode the income. So I put it all together for you, I hope. You're already doing number one. You're educating yourself in the new field of anti-aging medicine. I cannot emphasize how important I think the second point is put yourself on the program. If you believe it, if you believe in it, and if you're going to ask your patients to do it, you should be on the program. I don't recommend that you treat yourself, even if you are a physician. We shouldn't do that, and there are good reasons not to. You don't really do it the right way. Then you can determine how you are going to practice anti-aging medicine based on your area that you live in, or your demographic, or how it fits in with your lifestyle and how much time you want to devote to it. And then the last point is where I really learned most of my anti-aging medicine. And if you stop and think about it, this is how we learned medicine the first time around in our residency and in our internship. We learned it from our patients. We read about it in a book, and we thought we knew it, and then we went to the people, and guess what? They didn't do it the way it was in the book. So you learn from your patients, because everybody's unique. They have different problems. They have a different program that you have to develop. And it's been a tremendous education for me, and I've enjoyed it. It's been interesting and very challenging, and I encourage all of you to continue with it. As I say, be prepared to change your life. I don't have anything more to say.